Hello and welcome or welcome back. This is Tyrell VA.
And Toadman.
We are broadcasting live from the vault in our stars, and we have just finished playing Close to the Sun, the box.
This is the title sequence of the opening of the game. Select your game. I noticed now that we've played through the whole game. It doesn't say you can continue, so we have to start a new game, I imagine.
Yeah.
And here's the art, cover art for Close to the Sun, which is a direct, reference to Greek mythology, the wax wings of Icarus.
Yeah.
And the game is set up in 10 chapters. We've played through it all. You can watch all of our old videos. And it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, let me
Gameplay.
run through the box art real quick. As you can see, it's very Jack the Ripper kind of times.
Victorian.
Victorian, is that what it is?
Well, I feel like it's a real strong steampunk motif.
Very
this
steampunky,
game.
yeah. It looks like it was made by Storm in a Teacup and Wired Productions. We played Wired Productions game before. Cannot remember what it was, but I think I like that studio. Storm in a Cup also sounds familiar, to be honest. It's a mature game, 17 plus, so no kids allowed.
I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of murder that happens right in front of you on this game.
Yeah, speaking of which, this is a spoilers review, as it said in the title,
Implies
so...
things that you won't know.
So, murder and death, and all those kind of things will be revealed. The present is theirs, the future is mine. In 1897, deep in international waters, the Helios stands still. It's like a giant ship, kind of like Titanic. Dark clouds loom overhead as unforgiving waves crash against the hull. Colossal effigies of gold decorated with magnificent finery stretch as far as the eye can see. Born of Nikola Tesla's vision, the Helios served as a haven for the greatest scientific minds, an unbound utopia for researchers. Were you going to add something?
Well, I would just say that I think it's really unique how the game takes kind of historical figures and puts them into a fictional world. Also, I don't know that much about Nikola Tesla, so I can't attest to, this is what he actually did. I mean, did he have a boat called the Helios, or is that just for this?
I'm pretty sure it's just for this.
Yeah.
Independent from state and isolated from the gaze of society, fresh to push the boundaries of matter and time. Journalist Rose Archer, that's who you play in the game.
I didn't even realize he was a journalist until right now.
Oh, yeah, I
I
suppose.
just realized I didn't see it before. I saw notebooks, but lots of paper.
She steps aboard the Helios in search of her sister Ada. She quickly discovers not all is as it seems. Grand halls stand empty. The stench of rotting flesh lingers in the air. Silence. A single word is painted across the entrance. Quarantine. And that's it. So we got bonus includes stickers. It's a one-player game, 13 gigabytes, DualShock, yada yada yada. Nothing else really important. Although for the mature rating, it has blood and gore, intense violence, and strong language.
I don't remember any swearing really much in the game.
Sure, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's start. We got 13 categories for our review, and we have a little checklist of 10
Criteria.
things. Starting 10 here is it's a classic. That's just a great, wonderful game that you I don't want to say just need, because number 9 is necessity, but just so much more than need. You need to memorize it or something. All the way down to 0 being a punishment. You get no score if I have to force myself through pain to play a game I should be enjoying. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's start.
I have to say, I am most apt not to give zeros. I don't think I've ever given a 0. I don't think. I did look through my old reviews, but I don't think I've ever given a 0. Maybe I have.
I can be kind of a brat sometimes and real picky and just like, you know what, this game, you're getting a 0 from me today. Maybe on a different day I'd be happier. Okay, on the back here we got our categories, and first category is marketing. 0 to 10. How did you feel about the marketing?
Well, that's the only one that I didn't pre-give a score to, and the reason is I need to talk through it a little bit before I say it. I don't know anything about this game. It's fairly recent. It just came out in 2019. I'm going to dip into a little of the other categories here, but I think the artwork is pretty amazing. The storyline on the back of the box is really well written. So in terms of those things, what people see when they pick up a game if they're going to buy it, I'd give it a, I think, 7 does the job.
Interesting. I gave it a 4.
Painful?
No, 4 is oh, painful. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I gave it a 4 because I have never heard of this game. I have not seen any advertising for it. It was certainly out and already on sale by the time I found it. But usually for games like that, I give a 1 or a 2. But the title, the way it's like written out, there's something about it that you can tell right away it is some sort of Greek-inspired game. I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, I think this is going to be a Greek story, and I like those. And so the box art was good advertising, so I bumped up the score for that. So even though a 4 sounds awful, it's actually a pretty good score in comparison to what I would have gotten by default. Graphics. You dipped into that a little bit.
Yeah, I gave it a 6, which I think is does the job. No.
It's a time saver. 6 is time saver.
Time saver. So I took that as a slight, but I bumped it up slightly. So the graphics in this game are pretty. Like, everything in the background is well designed. It looks realistic. They do a really cool job with like the movie posters. In the collectibles in the game, I'll talk about this more later, I think, but they annoyed me. Everything was a freaking piece of paper. Okay, like, make a statue, make a stapler, make a globe. Like, why does everything have to be 2D? And I will say what was on the paper usually was very detailed. It looked almost realistic. And just to go away from the review for a second, everything I'm saying, and because you were saying about the marketing, you didn't know, like, you never heard of this game, it just sort of appeared, and because it has some eerily poignant moments, it's like, is this game Jumanji? This is the Jumanji of video games, where, like, things happen in real life because we play this game? Who can say? I don't know. Anyway, but back to graphics, I gave it a 6, which is terrible, still above average.
Okay. I gave it an 8. Just because I thought there were realistic parts, and they see, I always confuse graphics for the art category, so I'm trying to stick with just like they did a good with the lighting. It looks like a realistic table there.
Yeah, I feel like I also talked about the art in my graphics thing.
I usually talk about art for some reason.
But so I'll bring that up when we get to art. But.
So yeah, we'll jump to art now. So that was my score for that, was 8. Jumping to art, I actually bumped it up even higher to a 9.
I also gave it a 6 though. So both of mine were the same.
Ooh. I jumped it up to a 9 because of those posters and things you were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I really liked the added detail to things, like all the damage that she had on her body. You rarely see that in a person, that they're just still walking around with all that stuff, and things kept adding on as the game progressed. And when what's his name, Aubrey, came at you at the end, he looked fucked up. His face was burnt and bandaged, and just like, what the hell was going on there, guy? We didn't do that to you. We
Yeah.
We've just been running away, being all peaceful, going from one side of the boat to the other.
If there was a category for like suspense level, I would definitely give it a high marking. Like, there was a lot of times I was like, "What's gonna happen?" Or it seemed very eerie, you know, or the killer's gonna run out.
I guess
and
I'd
try to
be
get you.
storyline.
Yeah.
Or no mood.
Okay.
Category 4. The category is time. I gave this a high score, also another 9 for me.
I give it a 5, but I
Okay.
might bump my answer up.
Go for it.
I'm just gonna say time. I mean, in terms of length of time to play the game,
Right.
I gave it a 5 because I thought it was a little bit underwhelming. I feel like we got through this game very quickly, considering how epic the game makes it seem.
Sure.
And so I was like shocked. Like those last 3 chapters, it was like felt like the game designers were like, "This has been going on forever. We just want to wrap it up and not explain anything to you that's going on in this game."
Right.
And then they did that. So I give it a 5. But if you like that sort of thing, if you want a quick ending, mark it high. But I'm not saying that's what you are doing.
No, and actually, that is kind of why I gave it such a high score, is because I play so many games that are long and just take forever that it is nice to find a game where you just can maybe play the whole game in one night or 2 nights. But I did bring it down a number after your spiel on it, because some of the chapters are just kind of useless. So
Yeah.
either it could have even been shorter, or they could have like had some more importance in those levels and made them a little longer. Like, because chapter 8, we ran to an elevator, had one challenge,
Yeah.
and that was it. And it
Yeah.
was like, what? We were so surprised, but
We already talked about storyline a little bit, but what you're saying right now wants me to go back to that for just a second. So,
actually, storyline is
we didn't
number
do that one
5.
yet? Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
have
go
mine
for
kind
it.
of out of order.
Start up storyline, because that's where we're at. Number 5.
I'm so sorry to derail, but
Mhm.
I wanted to say that I gave 5 confused storyline. Basically because they had so much to work with here in such a short amount of time, that I felt like really the game's about survival, so they're actually giving it a high mark because that's all we had to do in this game, besides solve some puzzles.
And the puzzles weren't really puzzles.
Right, and they took a lot of liberties with real characters in a fictional setting, and I could have seen more from that, but the main thing that detracted me from the storyline was they wove in all of these Greek mythology myths, and they didn't tie them into the level at all very clearly. I thought it was, it's apparent, but I felt like they could have done more. Make that part of the puzzle solving, or I didn't write the game, but I just felt like it wasn't. They didn't
That's
do
true.
enough.
It's like, we're gonna call this chapter something about Hades, and the floor's on fire, and that's why it's Hades.
Pretty much, yeah. It
Yeah.
was very cut and dry, not too deep.
And that was one of the more obvious ones, like the flowers of Persephone. I didn't see a flower. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, we were in the. Yeah, once again, we were just
Poison
in
Ivy
the
room. We were in the
arboretum
Poison Ivy.
thing. I agree, and I gave it a 3.
Ooh,
I agree, and I
harsh.
gave it a 3.
Ooh.
What is 3? A letdown. Yeah, because I was really excited for the Greek mythology part, and then when Nikola Tesla was in it, I really got even more pumped, because I don't know much about him, but I am a fan as far as like I'm really bad at history, so just whatever that battle was with that other guy that invented electricity, Edison, thank you.
And they talked about that a little bit in this game, but and there was all these illusions in the beginning of the game of Edison trying to sabotage Tesla, but then that like went away and then they brought that up again.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened. They're like, hey, we're gonna use Tesla, And that's it. Here's Tesla in the story.
Yeah.
Nothing else is really like related to Tesla. We're just gonna take his name.
Totally. I mean, the only thing is, like, he was a scientist, and the whole coil and light bulbs, Tesla coil.
Yeah.
That's all I've been.
Oh, I was supposed to throw these papers.
What are we on?
Okay. We are on number 6 is characters. Speaking of characters,
I gave this one kind of a high mark. I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 also, which is odd because my complaints were the disappointment of Nikola Tesla, but that character in general, if it weren't Nikola Tesla, if it were just someone else called Peter or something, I don't know, would have been a fine character. But mainly the main character that you are, I enjoyed being Rose. I liked Rose.
I like that they made it a woman. I like that it was a sister, like a sister story. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, there wasn't a love interest.
No, not at all. Very dark story. And I like the incorporation. I've said this many times. It might be why I like the game somewhat, is because they incorporated the real life sort of events and put like a parallel spin on them instead of sort of alternate reality. That was creative to me.
Going back to the storyline.
Yeah.
There was... So, we talked about how all of a sudden it just kind of sums itself up in the last chapter. But I don't even know if it did any of that because... heavy spoiler. Tesla is apparently still alive down there because the earpiece is... He's still talking through it and we're just okay with that. But... there's some sort of quarantine-y thing going on, and it's like a time break in the dimensional rift or something bizarre wonkers. But there's like monsters that are down there trying to eat people. They were set loose and they were killing a bunch of people, which means Tesla's still down there dealing with that. And time is like going in the past and the future, and who knows which ones we were in. There's sometimes our sister is alive, sometimes she isn't, so none of that gets resolved. In fact, just when we think that maybe some of it did get resolved, because I was like, oh, maybe 3 chapters ago when we were putting our sister by a tree, that was her funeral, that was the end of her. But no, at the end of the game, as I'm figuring that out, like, oh, they're not going to recap the sister thing. That tree thing was the recap, or the capping of it. Then Tesla comes on and he's like, your sister's alive, we're going to go find her. I'm like, what the fuck?
Makes me think that the creators of this game want to create a sequel. In fact, I want to Google that. I want to see, like, Close to the Sun too. But if it just came out less than a year ago and it was already on sale, going back to marketing, it was not popular. There's, I don't know. Maybe it was independently released and just didn't have a big marketing plan. But gave 8 for characters.
Going back to that, I gave 8 to characters as well. Okay, number 7 is the gameplay.
I feel like I can't vote on this one very much because I played a lot more in the beginning, but I actually wanted to do more commentary, mainly because I'm not good at walking and chewing gum at the same time, aka running and then looking around. But I think it would have been okay because most of this I felt was fairly straightforward, so I put 7, which just gets the job done. Like, you had to feel like none of the challenges, with the exception of the door, were super duper hard. You just had to kind of be careful.
Right. I gave it an 8 as well. Yeah, as far as like, I mean, you're not shooting, or there weren't really a lot of options. You're just running and you're clicking buttons. So that's kind of hard to mess up. And it wasn't clunky or anything, so good job, Wired.
Is that the company?
Yeah. And Storm in a teacup. Okay, so number 8 would be the difficulty. How was the difficulty for this game?
I put 6,
Yeah.
which I forgot what that is.
6 was...
6 is time saver. I didn't feel like anything was so difficult that we're never going to be able to get through it. And I think in games like this, where the storyline, where you progress and you find out new things, they want you to be able to get through it eventually so you can find out what happens. I mean, they want you to succeed. So difficulty, I put 6. And again, I didn't play a lot of the challenges and puzzles. I just watched them. But I felt like you were able to figure them out pretty easily. Sorry, what are we on right now?
Oh, we are on...
Scrambling away.
We're on number 8. I gave it a 5, and I just dropped it down a notch. I had originally given it a 6 also, but I just remembered that this game is based mature. Like, I'm surprised of how easy it is now that I'm thinking that. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, this game was made for a 5-year-old. I should be able to beat this just fine. And sometimes games like that are not. But this game was made for at least an 18-year-old, and an 18-year-old would have had a breeze. Anyone would have a breeze. I think it's a nice game. I like the game, and I like the ideas behind it. But as far as difficulty goes, not really. If you want an easy breezy, go for this.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if you sit down and you have a couple hours to kill, you could probably definitely
Yeah.
go through this game.
It's like in between an RPG and a point and click. But more on the point and click side.
Yeah, because once you enact a puzzle or something, it takes over for you. You don't have to do too much besides, well, what he said, point and click.
And even the running is all tunnel based. Like, it tells you where to go, what quarter to turn down to, left, right. There is no choices.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9 is the control functions. Very similar to gameplay. I gave it an 8 just because there wasn't a lot to get wrong.
I give it a
that
5 for that
aspect.
very reason. I felt like as a game this expansive, you could give us a few more options of things to do or control. And I'm not necessarily doing the review now and like thinking back about the fighting, like I'm not mad that the fighting didn't happen. I don't think all games should have fighting. But not necessarily fighting, but maybe like some other task. I don't know. It was just point and click. That's why I gave it a 5.
Interesting. Okay. Number 10 is the music. Now, this was a made-up score. I gave it a 7 because I feel like I remember thinking the music is cool. But I don't know if that's true.
This is sort of funny because I gave it a 2 because I don't remember anything about the music.
Okay.
I feel like the more prominent was the sound effects. I feel like the music wasn't bad, but also it didn't stand out for me. And so in a game like this where you're taking on such an epic topic.
Definitely.
However, I might raise my score a little bit, maybe to a 4. I'm going to raise it to a 4.
I dropped mine to a 5.
I was into a 4 because I think that they did do a good job with suspenseful music when, like, I was just in suspense. Like, I'm like, is something gonna come out and kill me? Is that monster gonna break through the wall? Like, yeah. I'll give it a 4. Which is still not good by all of our measurements here. But
Number 11 is the mood. And actually, that intensity situation of running from the monsters is the only time where the mood, like, lifted up into intensity. But when it was intense, it was pretty intense. You were running, and they did not give you any moment of, like, leeway. You had to run from one spot to the next spot. Granted, it's pretty easy because they tell you where to go. Like, you can see via the lights flickering which way to go or whatnot. But if you stopped and paused for a moment, that monster was going to kill you. So you had to keep
trucking.
Yeah, keep trucking, keep the adrenaline up. And so for that, I gave it a 7. If I didn't.
For mood,
Yeah.
I gave it 5. A little confused because I felt like at times it didn't. Maybe I'm gonna give it a 6. That time saver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it a 6 because it does a good job of setting the mood. You kind of talked me into a 6. Also, the art's really pretty and it sets the mood. The vibe is good. I just felt like sometimes I didn't know what kind of story. I didn't know what kind of story it was until really the end, and I was like, what?
Right.
So, mood, and it's not storyline, but the overarching like feeling I'm supposed to feel. But I felt it was pretty. I'm staying at a 6. I'm not raising it.
Number 12. This is a kind of a hard category. Was there a lesson for you? A 0 through 10 lesson.
I know what it is. Don't buy games on the sale rack anymore.
Oh,
Just
snap.
kidding. Just kidding.
I actually, for some reason, we give these scores right before we make the video sometimes, and I ran through this, and for some reason I put down an 8, and I'm trying to remember why I put down an 8. I think it might have something to do with the Greek mythology, trying to like make that connection, because the puzzles weren't like that crazy. They did use like real people, but I don't know if they used real places or real storyline or anything. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna bring down my score, and I haven't even like really talked about it. What do you think?
I put lesson was a 2 because I didn't think there was any lesson. There's a lot of ambling about. I mean, the lesson of playing a game like this is like it's all about the mood. That
I've
they're
never
trying to
dropped a
set.
score this low before. I'm gonna drop it 3 points down to a 5 as well.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put confused because clearly that's what I am. You brought it down to dusty. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall category is overall, and this is kind of just a category that gives you a little over-rounding of, despite all these things, this is how I felt about it, this is the score I'd ideally like to give it, and then we'll add on the rest of the scores. What did you give it?
For overall feeling, I gave it a 5. But before I explain anything else, I want to start by saying that I'm a Mario super fan. So like my games are bubbly, they're very puzzly, they're very colorful. And if you look at this game, it is that, but it's all subdued. It's very realistic in nature as far as time travel can be realistic. And so
Serious.
it was serious. It's serious. There's no silliness. There's no joking around in a game like this.
Yeah, someone's constantly asking for your help.
Someone's
and
trying to
danger.
constantly stab you in like 4 or 5 chapters. It was a monster. It was Aubrey. It was the Ludwig or whatever his name was. I don't even trust Tesla by the end of it. So, and that, mind you, is
Or
the
our
cast of
sister.
characters of this game. The sister's so shady.
Yeah, this is for sure.
I feel like they had people on walkie-talkies a lot of the time, so they didn't have to draw them, maybe.
Ooh.
And
interesting.
all the people you do see are most of those ghostly Halo figures.
Yeah.
So
Which
that
I
was easy.
appreciated.
Yeah, but a little pixelated because they
Little
had to be.
pixelated,
They
yeah.
had to be.
It was like the only brightness in the game was like as dark as these things are, all of a sudden a bright character would walk by and you're like, oh, it's very eye-catching.
And I think in a game like this, when it's so suspenseful, like having a good old twist in there, especially some old Greek mythology twist,
It had
would have been
no
great.
twist.
No, it like peaked.
Yeah.
I'd say in the middle and then went down. It wasn't even the classic story
That's why the
structure.
storyline got such a great storyline.
Yeah, so my feeling is 5. Just kind of confused. Like, okay, tried.
I gave it an 8. I appreciated the calmness of it. Sometimes when you're playing an RPG
Yeah.
and you're shooting and you're doing all this stuff and it just get really hectic, this was a step back from that. I think it might have been too far of a step back.
Well, unless it was one of the forest chapters or someone was trying to stab you.
Right.
For those brief moments. It doesn't happen very long.
It does not happen for very long. But
Pull back.
yeah, I appreciated once again the vulnerability of not having a weapon and just knowing that all you could do is run away. In this game, similar or not similar to the Alien one that I had referenced in a different video, where you're also just running from the alien and you don't have a gun and you can't kill it. You can't hide anywhere. You could hide in things over there, but you can't hide in like a closet or a bureau. Why would you hide in a bureau?
Why not?
A small desk.
If it's open to you, if you can point and click on it and it pops open and you go inside, make it an option.
So we'll add up our scores, and then we will divide it by 13. And see what we
for a
get.
brief moment while we add up our scores.
Yeah.
Cue the Jeopardy music.
Dun.
I actually have to use it.
That I do not know how to do by my head. I need cacao. Well, that's you. Where's my calculator?
Yeah, I'll need to use that 2 here momentarily because we're dividing by 13. I should be smart enough, but I'm not. I'm just not.
A 13? No way. I could get close. Okay, drum roll, please. My score is. I'm gonna round up because I'm being nice, because I did like the game.
I'm gonna do this.
But you can feel free to roll down if you would like, depending on your preference through the calculator if you need it.
I'll just do it, but I almost got it figured out. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between and off, I have the score of 7.
Really?
Which
Right, okay.
surprisingly fairly high based on some of the low scores, but I gave a lot of high scores in there. I think 7, we've talked about this before, I'm always surprised at how accurate this scoring system seems to be. A 7 is pretty much what I think I would give it.
Which is, does its job. Does the job.
Does the job. It is, if you are bored, yep, does the job.
I think that's pretty accurate for how you felt about the game. I feel for me that I was less forgiving
Yeah, I could tell you
about
didn't
the
care for it as much.
calmness of the game. And I do recognize that although I'm giving it, my score was a 5.6, which is still kind of confused. I think because so many open-ended things happened, I felt like the game makers didn't push the game far enough. For those reasons, confused was pretty accurate. I mean, the actual wording of that might be like disappointed slightly and also confused. But I can give the game a recommendation. I mean, it is what Tyrell VA said here. Very chill game. Very, for the most part, very simple game. If you like puzzles that are involving numbers and the order of switches, which that's
Pretty much all of
that's
them.
what it is. If you like collecting papers off of desks and offices, then you
Filing,
should.
if you're really into filing.
If you're really into filing, this game is for you. And that's accurate from my perspective. But
Okay, I'm writing yours down. You said 5.5?
5.6.
5.6.
I won't screw it out of a tenth of a point.
Sure. Cool. Well, that is our review, everyone.
Well,
for a close.
Before we end though,
Yeah.
you had 7. Let's just do it real quick.
Oh,
So our
add them
combined
together?
score, our combined average was people probably. Sorry, I don't know how to use calculator.
A calculator.
That's gonna be somewhere in the 6.2.
Yeah.
So 6.2.
9.1.
No. 5. No.
No.
It'd be higher than your score.
Yeah. What am I doing wrong here, everyone? 5.6
Plus 7 divided by 2.
plus 7. Yeah, watch. It's like some weird math problem. 5.6 plus 7 equals 12.6.
Divided by
as
2.
it should. Divided by 2
Which is 6.3.
is 9.1. Why is that? Oh,
It's
you know, because it's doing
there's
7
no
divided by 2.
parentheses. Yes, first.
Yeah.
Order of operations.
Gosh, my order. See, people. What is that called?
Haley Joel Osment syndrome. You see dead people. Just kidding. No, I don't know what you're. Sorry.
The parentheses thing, like
Oh,
my
parenthetical.
aunt something. No, it's like a sentence that helps you remember how to do the order of this. 6.3.
6.3.
My very eager mother. No, that's the planets.
If you know what it is, put it in the comments.
Okay, so anyway, 6.3. There we go.
Yep.
Close to the sun.
If you find it for $2 in the bin,
Get
don't
it.
pick it up. Don't add it to your collection.
It's a quick collection piece. You'll finish it in a day. Actually, it's a nice game. Maybe if you have some gamer friends that aren't like hardcore and they're visiting, and you want them to be able to start a game and finish a game by the time they leave. This might be able to do the trick because it's that
I
short.
feel like you're describing me right
Except you didn't care for it that much.
now. That's right. I mean, I didn't dislike it at all, and I had fun playing it as always. But
Right.
I'm being honest about
Yeah, I mean it's an experience.
how the creators failed. Basically.
Yeah. Sorry, Wired and Cup of Tea.
Storm in the
tea.
teacup.
Storm in the teacup. Thank you. He's so
Well, it's just
fabulous.
not my cup of tea. Storm in
No.
the teacup.
Not my storm. Throw 'em at the camera.
You're like, I'm so mad. Not at you, viewer. Never at you.
So catch us next time. Not sure when that will be yet, but I mean
Coming up
we're back on, and so videos will be coming.
forthwith,
Yeah, frequently.
post haste.
So, be ready for those. I guess
Be
I'm
ready.
trying to end the video here. All right, thank you. This is Tyrell VA.
And Code Guy.
Where's the buttons? Here we are. Thank you for watching The Vault in Our Stars. Catch us in the next one.